to sit here and think about this for a while. I wanted it to be like kind of a kooky day, but it was weird. What I'm talking about is I've been sitting in this chair for 40 years. I was injured at the age of 14 years old, and that was fun. But, you know, it's funny because over the years, you have these different milestones, 5 years, you're in a wheelchair, then 6, 7, 8, whatever. But this one is different. It's 40 years. I'm 54 years old. It feels really different. Well, to give you the whole story that I've given many times over, when I was 14 years old, I went to visit my brother who was in Shreveport, Louisiana, and never been to Shreveport, Louisiana before. He was stationed there at a Belgian military base. So I had swam and dove competitively and just for fun, things like that. And I enjoyed it, but I had never been to a lake in my life. And so I went, and there's Shreveport, Louisiana. And it was friends of my brother. They picked me up, and because I've been in Shreveport, Louisiana for a good, I want to say, week or so, and it was boring. And from what I met some folks from Shreveport, Louisiana, and pretty much the same thing. I do want to go back one of these days. And oh, by the way, I did find out it was a reservoir. It wasn't a lake. So long story longer. Like I said, I've been there for about a week or so, and his friends came and picked me up, and they said, "Hey, can we go by and pick up your brother?" And my brother was like, "Yeah, cool, pick him up, and he's cool." So we went out, and ironically enough, I checked the temperature this morning of Shreveport, Louisiana. It was in like 70s or so. But on that day, it was hot, very hot, just extremely Louisiana hot. And we went to this area. We just, like I said, never been there to a lake in my life. And so we were around the picnic area, and so we had some Cokes and Pepsis and I think a beer. And so they were like, "Okay, let's go out and get in the water." And I've had a chance to count those steps of how many steps I took. Because what I did was I had on a pair of shorts, had a pair of moccasins on, and I took my feet out of the moccasins and putting my feet into the hot sand of Louisiana. And something about you ever step on the sun? That's what it felt like, stepping on the sun. Because all I can remember was like how hot the sand was. It was incredibly hot. And not being familiar with a lake or a reservoir, I started to run. And I started to run to get out this damn hot ass sand. And dove. Took a dive. Diving like I was going to dive in a pool in Camp Springs, Maryland, and bam. I heard Will Smith describe he was training for the movie Ali, and the hardest part of your head, you take a hit and you can break a man's hand if you want to. And he was talking about his first time getting hit and how it just sent this shock wave through his body, and it was like just electric, but it's crunching sound. that's what I had when I hit that sand, because I just hit sand. Basically, if you drink a glass of water, which I'm pretty sure you will, some type of beverage a day, unless you're just a camel, I don't know. That's probably how much water I jumped into. And immediately, it was no feeling, no nothing. I mean, I was like, ooh, shit, I fucked up. I was still conscious. I remained conscious throughout everything. I remember laying face down in the lake, and I remember breathing in water, which in itself, if you think of it, is not a natural thing to do, breathe water. So, and I just remember I couldn't move anything. But I do remember the water going in through my nose, past my throat, I'm assuming into my lungs. And I just remember any person that I've been around that is familiar with water, lifeguard, whatever, and just remember, just keep calm. And I did. I kept calm. But it was the weirdest thing to have your face down in murky water and to breathe in liquid, and you can't get up to cough it out or anything. So that was special. So my brother's friends, they pulled me to the shore, and it was weird because, I always tell people that anytime you get hurt, whether you're religious or not religious, whether you're a mama's boy or not my mama's boy, sorry, 16th Street mom, happens. The first thing you want is you want God or you want your mom. I wanted both. I didn't cry or anything. I just remember just like, what the hell am I doing? I didn't know the full extent of it or anything. And then I remember just a massive amount of white people started showing up and gathering around where I was injured. By this time, they had put sandbags by the side of my head to stabilize my neck. The EMTs were on their way, and I just remember, it felt like they just pulled up a head and put it on the shore of the beach, because all I could feel at that time was my face. Wow, I could feel the hot sand or hot sun on my face. That's all I could feel. Weirdest damn feeling in the world. So, like I said, I knew I had messed up because white folks started showing up. And then the EMTs showed up, and they did a wonderful job. They really did. There was this one lady who was EMT, and I consider her my calming angel. I wish I could get in touch with her. But she was just very calming, and she sat there, and she I remember her just, words, comforting words, gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. And I believed it. And I knew I messed up, and I had broken my thumb before, and so I wasn't a stranger to hospitals. It's not like I wasn't acting at home, but I played sports and I maybe fractured my ankle and broken my thumb, things like that. But so that's kind of in the area I thought I was at. Just like, we'll just go to the hospital and we'll fix this and we'll be okay. So we start on the way to the ride to the hospital, Bossier City General Hospital. Fantastic hospital. Because it's Louisiana and it's hospital food. No, but it's really good food there. I know my mother's probably like, "Oh, you get injured and you think about food," but they had some really good food. But so we start to in the ambulance, and we start to go to the hospital. So I could hear her on the radio, and she was saying that we have a 14-year-old male, black male, possible spinal cord injury. And so the radio back, the operator says, "Well, you can't bring him here. We are not a spinal cord hospital, or we're not a neurological hospital. We're not a neurological doctor." And this was the first time I'd heard like somebody go off. And she was like, "Well, you better fucking get one there, because he's coming in there. He's coming in. We're coming to Boulder City." Because originally we were supposed to go to a military base, because my family has military ties, things like that. So she was just like, "No, we're fucking coming in." And then it was funny because when she would have that voice to them, the people on the dispatch or what have you, then she would turn to me and her voice would soften. And she was like, "It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be just fine." And she's like, "Are you breathing okay?" Which is essential, because I found out later, if I had the injury higher, would I have to have a trach, a thing that they put in your throat to help you breathe, or if I had lost consciousness, it would open my throat up so I can breathe. Fortunately, I didn't have to have that, so lucky. Upon arriving at the hospital and going into the ER, and just chaos. I mean, in a way that these things I had never seen before. And 54 years of age now, and looking back at it, being a child and experiencing that, it didn't freak me out then. It still doesn't. The thought of it freaks me out, but not the actual occurrence. What happened to me didn't freak me out until they're doing all their assessments and everything. You have people coming up to you and asking you, "Can you feel your left hand? Can you feel your foot? Can you feel this? Can you feel that?" I'm saying no, I can't feel that. Can't feel this. And in my head, I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, this is crucial." I don't know what it is. What really scared me, and I looked over and I saw my brother and my sister-in-law, and I saw them crying because I was in this room, and so they let them, I guess, come and see me. And it was the weirdest thing, because I had never seen my brother cry before, and he may admit to it, or not admit to it, but there was water coming from your eyes, and that's when I got scared, because I knew I'd fucked up. I fucked up pretty bad. I didn't know how bad I fucked up, and then that moment passed, because my next concern was the CNA or tech that was standing beside me with this big needle, this big syringe, and all I could do was just lay there, pretty much, kind of just do the eye thing, and because I could see him out the corner of my eye, and he's standing there, and I said, "Who's that for?" "It's a big needle." He said, "That's for you." And I'm like, "For what?" And he says, "Well, we have to numb the side of your skull so we can drill or put pretty much they call it the crown of thorns, and it's these little thorn things or spikes that are put into your skull, and they don't go through the skull, they just go into the skull. So I mean, they're gone now, but the left and right sides of my head, that's what they went into, and that shit hurt. So I mean, and it was kind of ironic because you're using a big needle to deaden pain. It's a messed up logic, but it's medicine, so it's science. It works that way. So they had to deaden the sides of each sides of my head in order to take not a drill, but a crank, and they could crank it into your skull, tightening. So imagine the old time ice pick holders that they would pick up the ice picks with, or ice with, and I had them picks on both sides. So that's what went into my skull. That shit hurt. I mean, they did deaden the pain, but you could feel like the popping of cartilage, of skull, and it just hurt. Was because they had to do it once on one side. You could feel them twisting it. I didn't scream, I didn't holler. I felt like that Glory thing from Denzel Washington from Glory, where I had that pain, but it was just more, oh shit, this is happening. And it hurt. After that, I remember going up to the bedroom or getting, set something, because what happens is when they put that in, two things on the side of your head, it creates weight, which puts you more in traction, where your body, your neck, and your spine and your back is all in alignment. I would find out that this was done purposeful because they had to do a spinal fusion once the neck was stabilized, and once I was stabilized. And so what that entailed was basically taking a piece of bone out of my lower rib on my back, and fusing it with a piece of metal in my area of C4, C5 of my vertebra. And actually, if you ever look at the back of Peyton Manning's head or neck, you'll see a scar that he has, and it's a spinal fusion that he's had. Now, obviously he's walking, I'm not. It's and that's how unique spinal cord injuries are. I mean, you can have a person that has a C4, C5, and mine, ironically enough, is only a bruise. My spinal cord is only bruised. So those, that's my claim to fame to Peyton Manning. But it was weird. It was weird because I knew that as I laid there, and after I had the spinal cord injury, after I had the spinal cord fusion, it was a weird feeling because I laid there and it was like, I wanted my mother. I wanted my mother. And she was there so quickly. Now, I get all teary about this. This is why, because for many years I've always thought about my point of view of how the accident happened. My mother showed up like a day and a half later. She was like there on it, coming down from Maryland. So she got there, she slept in the room with me every day. She was there snoring every day when she was sleeping. But in retrospect, I was 14 years old. My mother was probably about the age as I am now. And I got to thinking to myself, she probably was like, what the hell has this Negro done? He has gone someplace and jumped in a lake. And now he can't walk. So it was one of those type of situations where that was, I can only imagine like the stress and the burden of having to deal with your son who was once walking the last time you saw him. Same thing with my father, you know, him having to deal with that. But anyway, I digress. After they did the spinal fusion, I stayed in the hospital for, I stayed in bed for probably another 3 months. And I remember the first time I sat up in the bed, passed out, or even like, not even a 45-degree angle, passed out. Because my body wasn't used to laying down. The way that people are hurt now in, you know, Craig Hospital was doing wonderful things at their place, at their organization. You know, I think you can get hurt on a Monday, and by the time Tuesday rolls around, your ass is in a wheelchair, you're doing rehab and everything else. So I was behind the 8 ball probably about 3 months or so, and I didn't even know anything about Craig Hospital. So I'm kind of jumping around here, but it's okay, because it's my video, damn it. We started, you know, the spinal fusion was a success, and I moved my neck, and everything's good. I started, we started trying to get back home to Maryland. And when I say me, my mother and I, because she was with me the whole time. So, but this one thing, let me just tell you this. I remember when I kind of realized that this was going to be a thing, meaning this was going to be a part of my life, because 3 months or 2 months had passed already. And I didn't see anything getting better. I didn't see my hands moving. I didn't feel anything. You know, things were kind of weird. So it became very suicidal and started suicidal thoughts. And I thought to myself, oh shit, I'm looking out this window. I'm just like, wow, shit, I can't move. So I'm thinking that my mother, you know, I'm like, oh, my mama, I call her over and she's asleep or doing whatever Doris does. And I call her and I ask her to, you know, come over. And she's like, what's wrong, sweetheart? And I told her, I said, you know, I feel like I just don't want to live anymore. I just don't want to live. I don't want to live like this. And, you know, in the Hallmark scene, you would have a mother lean over and be like, oh, you're okay, sweetheart. No, not Doris. Not Doris. I miss you so much. Doris basically told me, you selfish son of a bitch. You're not thinking about me, your mother, your sister, anybody who you encounter. You're being selfish. You're being extremely selfish. You don't know what life has planned for you. You're just gonna have to live it a different way. That's the type of foresight that I take today. Just living life a different way. I mean, we all do it in different ways. See, I know I was making a motion. But damn, you were strong. She knew what she needed to do to keep me on track. And so that's why I'm 40 now. I cried at the drop of a hat. Rather have these emotions out than in. So, that was pretty rough. Not the fact that I was wanting to live life a different way. Because let's face it, I just like a fucking good challenge. I really do. But the way she mapped that out in my head for me, I wasn't supposed to be some type of beacon of inspiration. She was telling me this is the shit you need to do to keep yourself alive. She told me, always know how to take care of yourself. Always know your body. Always be kind to people. Something she didn't have to tell me. But damn, I admire that woman so much. After I was injured, came home, and you're trying to get back into life. Get back into life. I'm only doing that because Marcy's sitting over here and I know she's silly. She probably will laugh at any given time. It's my baby too. Getting back into life was difficult, but also interesting. I just find this whole overall experience very interesting. Interesting in a way that I felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be, and the things I'm supposed to be doing. The chair is, no, well, let me tell you this real quick, because this was one of my mother's favorites. I've been thinking about my mother a lot. But she would tell people, yeah, God put Stuart in that wheelchair because he needed to slow his ass down because he probably would have been dead. Because I was not reckless, but I did a lot of shit that would probably have gotten me, I'd say, in situations. One of my mother's favorite things to tell people when they would ask her how I was doing, how's Stuart doing? Oh, he's okay. I mean, he's cool. He's just Stuart. He just thinks that it's just a minor inconvenience. And to be quite honest, outside the bigger picture, this is just a minor inconvenience. I mean, you think about other stuff, it's not as big. It's big of the things that I have to go through, but who doesn't have to go through shit? I just go through it in a different way. I like the fact that at 54 years of age, and also 40 years of sitting in this chair, I have experienced so much pain. And I like also that at 54 years of age, and 40 years in this chair, I have experienced so much joy and pleasure. Funny how life works that way. It just kind of evens everything out. And that's what it's supposed to do. They said I wasn't supposed to go past 25. Sometimes doctors get things wrong. And I'll tell you a quick story about my mom that I really admire. Warning alert, warning alert, alert, alert. I'm probably gonna start crying. I was staying at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. That's where I eventually wound up. They didn't have a extensive spinal cord research like Craig does, but they did their best. So I remember I used to be in Baltimore. That's where I stayed. That's where I was doing my rehab, physical rehabilitation. So when it came time for me to go home, our house wasn't equipped. We didn't have a van at that time. My aunt would later on go and buy vans and things like that. My father would get his friends from the Air Force One, to alter the house as much as they possibly could. But I tell you that to tell you that one day they had these things called conferences where the nurses get together and the doctors get together also, and they talk about the diagnosis of what the patient what his outlook may be like. So one of the doctors recommended that I go into nursing. It would be better, given my father's age and my mother's age, and that would probably be the best place for me. So my mother, being the badass that she is, she asked the doctor, doctor, and I can't remember his name right now, but have you ever missed a day at school? And his response was yes. I may have missed one day, maybe 2 days from medical school. And she responded by saying, well, maybe on that day, they were talking about people who live outside of a nursing home, and they thrive. My son's not going in a nursing home. And she got up and left. She dropped the fucking mic and left. Now here I am sitting, can't wheel my chair. I didn't have an electric chair at the time. I'm sitting here with the rest of these probably maybe 4 or 5 nurses or so and a doctor. And it was the most inspiring moment, if there has to be inspiration in anything. And also badass mic drop moment where I was like, damn, my mother is a badass. Because afterwards, because we're in Baltimore, and it's predominantly, at that time, I haven't been back to Baltimore in a while now, predominantly black area. And sometimes the doctors are a little bit used to talking down to people of color, or not thinking that they're educated or have sense. Maybe I'm pushing that one. But the nurses in that hospital were just like, your mother is so on point. So when I look back at my life, 40 years, everything has happened. Good, bad, and in between. Doris, my family, my friends, and now to date, my beautiful wife. It's a funny thing about having a team, where people who support you and behind you. It means a lot. It really does. Sometimes, I don't realize exactly how much I've gone through. That's because I like to live in the moment. Like right now is the most important time in my life right now. And I owe a lot of that to my parents. So I want to thank them, friends, family. Because today, 4 years ago, Stu died. And Stuart Takalundy came out of that lake. And rough sometimes. But it's been so much better. It's good. It's so damn good. This is wheelchair boss life. I wouldn't want it any other way. Because I wouldn't have you in my life. And that means a lot. So, what do you think about we get together next year this time and do the same thing? I gotta get the ugly cry off my face. Oh boy. Feels good though. Feels good. So, I've been thinking about this day a lot. 40 years. Damn, that shit feels good. Ooh. Take care. See you soon. Happy anniversary.